War Eagle, and welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, your Auburn Family News discussion forum. My name is Kyle. I am the editor and owner of the E2C Network, and we are a family of podcasts that cover Auburn topics. And there's a very big Auburn topic today that we're going to be discussing. Breaking news out on the plains. The Auburn Tigers have their brand new head coach, Bryan Harsin. Stop me if you thought that was coming. I don't think anybody saw this one coming, to be honest with you. It's something that I'm starting to process right now. So bear with me. These are just literally thoughts that are coming into my head as we go through this, trying to just rationalize everything that we've been through for the last week and change, everything that we are going to go through for the next however long this lasts. We'll see how long this one lasts. Going forward with Bryan Harsin as our head coach, taking over for Gus Malzahn, who was let go about a week and a couple of days ago. So let me just kind of cover the boilerplate stuff. So please just bear with me at the beginning. I can see we already have a humongous crowd joining us on YouTube and here on the Twitter as well. And somebody has already made a comment. I'm going to make a really bad joke here in just 1 second, and it's going to be slightly hilarious for all you dads in the audience, but slightly sad as well because it's that bad of a dad joke. You probably already thought of it. We made it on our Twitter account already, but I'm going to make it no matter what the case here. So as we get started here, this is a live show that we are doing. So if you are watching this live, please do make sure you smash the like button if you're enjoying what you're watching on both formats. We're going on YouTube and on Twitter as well, the retweet button as well. It does help bring more people into the conversation and be part of it because this is a lot more fun when you all are here. And we'll cover some other things in more detail because I do not want to bore you all with stuff, but just announcement stuff for the podcast and stuff. But I know what you're really here for, and I know what you really, really want to talk about. So I just wanted to kind of get some of that other stuff. But if you're watching on the replay, you can bring comments and questions as well, and we'll cover them as they come. And don't be shy, don't be afraid. I see tons of comments and questions already coming up. Twitter, folks, I'll try to keep up with yours. YouTube is a lot easier to keep up with right here. All right, so, well, that came out of the blue, didn't it? Da-da-da. There's your bad dad joke for the day, and I promise I'll only have a few more before time is up with us tonight. So, Bryan Harsin, head football coach of the Auburn Tigers. It's a name that we had heard, like, at least in some circles, like if you, at least mentioned it, but it was like mentioned in passing and then just kind of pushed over. So, it's not one that like when it came up and got traction, all of a sudden I wasn't like, well, that's just outrageous. But it was like, oh, okay, we're going that way. That was kind of my reaction. I was like, oh, we're like legitimately going to do this. This is like for real this time. So I'm, like I said, I'm processing. I've already seen a couple comments on Twitter. It's already, we've got everybody sharing opinions from boo to I'm okay with it. I'm excited about it. Quarterback development, anything and everything in between. There are a lot of different angles to analyze this from. So please do share yours. What's his play style? I have no clue. Literally, honestly, guys, this is just me right now reacting to everything. And we're going to be putting out a podcast for the No Huddle guys, AJ and Jared, hopefully tomorrow if they can get together tonight. To break down this further, but you're going to just have to bear with us as we draw all this information in and start analyzing it. It'll be a lot of reaction and a lot of just impressions at first, but while we kind of just take everything in, and we'll probably finally analyze everything at the beginning. All right, let me say hello to a couple people here on YouTube, and like I said, I will try my best to keep up with you Twitter folks, but y'all are just flying in here. The YouTube option is always the best option because I don't lose track of the comments because they stay there forever. Let's see. Stereotypical Auburn fan says, I have no idea if this is a good or not, but considering how no one talked about him, I assume it isn't very good. Let's see. It isn't very good. We would have had Napier if the boosters weren't so greedy. Okay. So there's one opinion there. Twitter, somebody says, hope he has hiring and firing power. We will see. Brian Bada says, interesting hire. I will say that it's pretty interesting. Box him and bet him says, great hire. Let's get behind this guy. Anyone that knows football, you understand. Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you that it is time to get behind whoever it was going to be. And I think that is the case here for Bryan Harsin. So we need to make sure that we do that. He's a great recruiter. You have to consider that he was having to recruit in Idaho by rankings. He's a better recruiter than Napier. True. So there's definitely a lot of angles to take in on this. Bill is not happy. He says, you've got to be kidding me. I think a lot of people are taking the yes man angle on this and already assuming, if we had time tonight, I'd get into the whole boosters debate and all that stuff. But, look, you can be mad all you want at them, but, there's just a whole nother angle to take in on that. David says, 2020. Do you think him being upset with the Mountain West Conference was a good reason to hire him? I don't know. I don't really know what was actually going on out there. I only care about the SEC, to be honest with you. You're not sure how I feel. Wiz Dragon says, I know it's not excitement I am feeling. I'm okay with caution if you want to take caution. I'm hyped about this hire. Thor says he's a proven head coach and not just a coordinator. How is he going to recruit in the SEC? This is a whole new beast. I would agree. That was kind of my thought when someone brought that up on YouTube. You can compare recruiting in the Mountain West Conference to the Sun Belt. You can't recruiting in the Mountain West to the SEC. You can't compare recruiting against, let's say, an Oregon or a Washington to recruiting against Alabama, Georgia, and LSU. Now, I'm not saying that to disparage him, but I'm just trying to play both sides of the angles here. So when we see the recruitment angle brought up, just be careful of that. And so, Jackson, this is a great point, he said. And by the way, as you're here, if you have not joined on YouTube, please do make sure you subscribe. Not only that, but hit the notification bell because we do these on a random basis. And you'll only get that way. You'll update you when we go live, so you won't miss an opportunity to be here. He's never recruited the region either. No, he has because he was the Arkansas State head coach, and he was also offensive coordinator at Texas. So I would bet you he has recruited the region. Maybe not the Georgia area as much, but the South Texas area he has. But I do agree with Jackson. The fact that he's leaving his alma mater after 6 years, that says something to you. I get that everybody wants to be the biggest and baddest coach out there. But when you get to your alma mater, you kind of want to stay there, don't you? For a really, really long time. And he was there for 6 years, I think? But maybe he's tired of not being considered. Does he get to choose the staff? Well, it depends on what your opinion on the boosters is. All right, guys, I know I'm going to try to catch up here. Let's see. Is Steele staying at DC? We're going to start asking all these questions. That's going to start unfolding tonight. I don't even know where I would assume Bryan, being a former quarterback, an offensive coordinator, is an offensive-minded guy, so it would make sense that you could probably, keep Steele if possible. And I think that would go a long way to smoothing some things over, but who knows if that'll happen at this point. He replaced Gus at Arkansas State and is now replacing Gus at Auburn. It's kind of funny how things work, isn't it? Let's see. He runs a pro-style offense, so there you go. For those of you that are tired of the spread, there you go. We've got some people on Twitter tabulating the total buyouts right now, and it is pretty shocking. The Gus buyout, the Steele buyout, and potential Steele buyout, and potential Harsin buyout would, I think, if I saw their math correctly, would be $35 million. COVID-19 economy says what? Says nothing. So I hope he isn't running the offense, though. He runs a pro-style offense. Saban will shut him down. So that's the fear here, guys. Yeah, if he does run a pro-style offense, Saban is great at shutting those down, which is one of my arguments for keeping Gus, was because Gus's offense, with all its flaws and frustrations at times, was the only thing to give Saban fits. We'll see what happens. We will see what happens, my friends. His record looks really nice. And so again, when I read a question that's optimistic and I try to play the opposite side, I don't want y'all to hear that I'm just trying to be negative, but this is who I am, and I've learned to be as a podcaster for 7 years now. You got to play both sides of this. He has a good record in the Mountain West in the Sun Belt. And he took over a program that was in very good shape when Gus Malzahn left it, and was in good shape when Gus took it over as well, just to be clear. But Gus left it in a good place, and Bryan took it over and left it in a good place as well. And Boise State it's not like he took over San Jose State and brought them up to new heights. He took over a program that was traditionally very powerful. So I don't want to discredit that he has a great record. I just want to be clear that you got to be careful with that sometimes. Personally, I believe. I don't know how everybody else feels. Agree, disagree. He's going to make Gus look like a saint against Saban and Kirby. That is one of my fears. It is a very big fear of mine. WLS Tron, I think is what it says. That is a huge fear of mine, but I am willing to wait and see. This is, the whole "this is out of left field" description of this, and he says he likes it. By the way, this is Michael Aaron on YouTube. It just, as soon as I saw people starting to say that, I was like, you know what makes more sense? Out of the blue. Jackson's clarifying a little bit and says he runs the multiple offense. Well, I would imagine that means that you adapt to whatever the defense is going to do, as opposed to kind of being focused on one different area. Jared says, I can't see this guy stealing recruits from Kirby, Saban, Dabo. Hope I'm wrong, War Eagle. Yeah, that's what it looks like on paper, right? And I would suspect that you will not see Auburn probably make dividends this recruiting cycle. You'll probably see them get a few that were excited, but nothing really major. You probably won't see it next year. What will really be the key, if he makes it to year 2 and that third recruiting cycle, is that will be the sign of what this is going to be like. It'll be the sign of what the program is going to be like, the recruiting is going to be like. So that's when you can make a judgment call on that. But right now it does seem scary. Will he keep Bo, or will he try to get a grad transfer? I think you keep Bo personally. Bo has gotten a lot of flack and a lot of unfair flack. You don't, if you need to see what changing your offensive coordinator each year does to a quarterback, you need to look no further than Jason Campbell. And when you finally set him in and find someone that works with him, such as Al Borges, who finally came in and helped Jason Campbell after 4 straight offensive coordinators changes, it'll mess you up as a quarterback. And I think people didn't give him the benefit of the doubt that they should have. I guess one in Arkansas State. What's up, buddy? The biggest question is, and that one got cut off, so I missed that one. What's he getting paid? I don't know the details of that yet. I do know that his buyout was like $8 million or something like that, total. So they've got to pay that, and obviously the rest of Gus's, and if he doesn't keep some of the other staff, some more buyouts. So the athletic department was already in the hole big time. They will be further in the hole after this. Jared Clay says, biggest question, can he recruit at a high enough level? We've kind of addressed that already. That is the big question, but don't wait to, I would say he's got 2.5 recruiting cycles to show that he can pull that off. Will he do it? I don't know. It must not feel great to be the 20th guy on the list. I don't know what to tell you about this coaching search, guys. I really, really don't. As I have told you, I have had one singular source who has been 100% correct the entire time. And they got this information about Bryan Harsin about the same time that it was kind of breaking. But they were telling me, look, this Venable, they told me Venables was done. They told me that Freeze was, going to be, it was being talked to at least, 45 minutes before it even broke out on Twitter. And they said that look for an outside hire. So I will, this person that has been 100% correct throughout this whole coaching search, I will never question them again. And I've told that to them. I said, don't you ever let me question you ever again. Considering some of the options that were on the table, I'm okay with it. Honestly, and David, I think that's a great point. I think my initial reaction is just right now, I'm okay with it. Because I'm processing right now. I'm seeing records. I'm seeing people speculate about his recruiting. I'm seeing about his record. It was this worthy of firing Gus. My stance has been on this the entire time that we should never have fired Gus, and I'm still going to say that right now. And I still do say that firing Gus will set us back not a decade, but 2 decades back as a program. I'm willing to be wrong. Bryan Harsin could be the guy to prove me wrong, because if I'm wrong, Auburn wins. So I'm perfectly happy with that, and I will fully admit it right here if I was. Let's see. He's a known great quarterback coach. So I think that's a big plus side for a lot of people. I think a lot of people are very excited with the potential of Bo, and maybe get 2 years. And, technically, you can get 3 years with Bo, with everybody getting a pass this year because of COVID-19. So if Bo were to get 3 years under that system, what could he do? What could that potential that we see in him be fully realized? I think it could. Name from left field, just like Chizik. It kind of has the Chizik feel. It has the Chizik feel without the Auburn tie to it, right? The closest Auburn tie that you could make, John, to this is the fact that Gus, he followed Gus at Arkansas State. So that is like the closest tie that you could probably make to this. We'll need to have top route recruiters. Yeah, so that's, his number one is if he's going to be the offensive minded guy, and that's what he's going to be controlling, then you got to secure your defensive staff. And you got to ask right now, is Kevin still worth keeping? My opinion is yes. I think he's earned that, despite what some people's opinions of him right now. If not, you better go find the best defensive guy, and you better get ready for these offenses that are here. They're going to change, and all this offensive firepower we're seeing in the SEC, it won't be around forever, but that's number one right now. That is number one. What about Hugh Freeze? Yeah, there was a little bit of traction for that today. I didn't see it going too much further than that. It was kind of probably a little desperation, to be honest with you. The family needs to realize being a basketball school is the main priority now. No, I disagree with you completely, WS Tron. Auburn is an everything school. And I'm not trying to be mean when I say that, but I kind of get annoyed when people go that route. And sometimes they're being funny, and maybe you're being funny as well. But, we're an everything school. We're an equestrian school. And I just said that because my man Auburn Elvis is watching right now. I just saw that. And he runs the only equestrian podcast out there that I believe right now, but definitely the only Auburn equestrian podcast for horses. You need to tune in to E2C Network. You can find it on Apple Podcasts, anywhere. Just go to your podcast app. And if it's not on your podcast app, if you can't find it, first of all, let us know. We'll try to help you find it. But if it's not on that app that you use, let me know. We will try to get it there for you. So we hope you'll check that out. Don't want to miss our breakdown of this hire coming up hopefully tomorrow, if we can get our 2 co-hosts together. If not, I will be on the show. Make it happen for you guys. By the way, I do see that you guys are smashing that like button. That is a huge help. Thank you so much, YouTube, and those of you that have done that on Twitter as well. That if you are enjoying what you're about, I understand if you not enjoying this, but I hope you are, because that's what I love about this doing this format, is interacting with you all, because it's just fun to hear your perspectives and share what I can about that, and share your perspectives on this too. Amy is making the bad dad jokes that I was making. Yep, those are the good ones, though. Napier and Clark stayed put for just $1 million. How much handcuffing is being done? That's the rumor. But you know what they say about rumors? They're not always true. But, where there's smoke, there's fire. So the truth lies somewhere in the middle of what you think it is. Either what you believe and what it probably is. I don't know. I'm not making sense, really, but you got to get the gist of what I'm saying. Don't believe rumors completely. Wow, guys, we are streaming hardcore here. 215 on YouTube. We had at one point, and I know there's tons going on Twitter, so I know people are probably wanting to stay up too close on that. So we had 50 at one point there on Twitter. Kyle's going to spend all night researching if Harsin is a nice enough guy. And, Elvis knows me well enough to know that is true. Elvis, how do you know I haven't already done that? Remember, my source has been 100% correct. And when I got wind that this was legit, I've already been doing my researching. Haven't found enough yet to really fulfill that category for me. Maybe some of y'all can help me with that. But it doesn't have to do with being nice. It has to be with doing a Christian. With being a Christian. Looks like Harsin's buyout is $250. Not too bad. $250. I saw $8 million. Maybe I'm wrong. Is he a family man? That is the most important. Well, that depends on what you define as family man. My biggest category is he a Christian? And I know that's not everybody's, but that's mine. And that's why I was such a big fan of Gus Malzahn, for the way he represented himself in his program and his players. Wow, Bill says he lost his wife to cancer one of his last years at ASU. I had no idea. That is very tragic, and that kind of sadly, right, endears you to him a little bit. Wiz says the pro style, and I know guys, stay with me. I know I'm behind on all your comments, but we're going to work through them as fast as we can. Tons of y'all here tonight, so we're gonna break the Gus Malzahn firing stream here tonight. Let's do that. And you can do that by smashing the like button. Let's see. Yeah, the pro style will help Bo. I agree. Neil is all in on this, and here I think this one's going to be interesting here. Alan Grimes. So we paid $21 million to get rid of Gus to hire Gus. No offense, but I thought he wanted to go to the next level. Looks like another 8-5 or 9-4 coach. Do you think Harsin ever stepped foot in the state? Talk about a shock. Maybe not, but he's definitely been in the South and recruited the South a little bit. To what extent, I don't know. So, Alan, I think that's the choice you can make, right? You can make the choice to view it that way. Me, as someone who is very pro Gus Malzahn and thought this, and still thinks, as of this moment, that it was the wrong decision to fire Gus Malzahn. That has nothing to do with hiring Bryan Harsin, other than he's replacing him, and that's not a reflection on Bryan yet, but it's just my opinion of what the program's going to be going through and what Bryan will now be going through as the head coach for the foreseeable future. You can think that way. I prefer to be optimistic and get behind him, and you will probably see a season next year that is not going to be that good. I will be happy if we hit 500 next year, just to be completely, blatantly honest. I will be very, very happy. Kellen Moore is an OC. Boise State connections. Oh, Kellen Moore, he never could win that Heisman. Cam kind of kept him from winning that last one. We said there was no Auburn connections here, but they're very loose ones, but we're finding some as we go along, and that's what I like about this and talking through these things with you all. But we have to wait and see the offense. Let's see. He has to bring in another viable option at quarterback. I don't think he has to. A backup, yes, but we do have Demetrius coming in this season, and I can never pronounce his name, and I'm going to butcher it, and I'm actually kind of blanking on it right now, but Khalil Garnett, I think is how you say it. He's a potential as well. I think the depth, Jason, is only weak because it's young. Obviously, the next one up right now is Grant Loy and then Cord Sandberg, which would probably be on the same level right now. Wouldn't you agree? Khalil, if I'm saying his name correctly, that tells you how often we've seen him this year because he's redshirting, I'm sure. And then Demetrius coming in. So yeah, you don't have a stepwise ready for quarterback position, but don't dismiss Bo. Don't get off the Bo train yet. We got off the Gus bus, not the Bo train. Saving, keeping Sark, and potentially getting Pruitt back would be a nightmare. Potentially, and which is why I didn't think it was time to make a coaching change. But here we are. Emperor Palpatine. I'm going to keep an open mind on him. I think that is the best way. I think cautious optimism, preparing for what could be a very rough next 2 to 3 years. I think that's the way to go, if I'm being completely honest. It's an interesting comment. Little Bud says, yes, Bryan Harsin, Chris Peterson, sloppy seconds. Did pretty good over there at Chris Peterson's old stopping grounds. If the 20th guy on the list is 12-0, does it matter? It is a great point, Bill. All this is a moot point if Bryan Harsin goes out there and proves us and just shuts it all down with what he does on the field and in the recruiting trail. And that is the best shut up juice that for all of us, right? All of us who are being cautiously optimistic, all of us who are being not pessimistic. That's the best shut up juice. Why do you think the next couple of years are going to be rough? Can I stick a pin in that, JP? Because if you've seen any of our other live streams, I've discussed that probably ad nauseum for some people, and I know there's more. I got to get through some of these other ones. But I do think that Auburn will go through not just the next 2 to 3 years, but I have said that the firing of Gus Malzahn will result in Auburn reaching its lowest point for the next 2 decades. That is my opinion. It's a very strong opinion, but I'm happy to be wrong because if I am, Auburn wins. Yes, on September 12, 2013, the Ark State versus Troy State. He's coached in the state. The next 2 to 3 years would ruin the next 3 to 5 years following. Could be a long decade. Kind of my point. Yeah, there you go. This week before we lost. The week before he lost to some team named Auburn. I'm sorry, I missed that one. Elvis, the Twitter, they come a little bit quicker than they're on there. True Georgia champion says, what a stupid hire. It might be, but I think it's a little rash to say it is now. And EJ, I will agree with this statement. We fired a coach that beat Bama multiple times. I agree with that statement. And I will not agree with you that taking this L, though, because you can't it's the same people they're saying take the loss that are rival fans are in the same category as those saying are just outright dismissing this already. Can't do it. Does he have any ties to the South, Raymond? And you probably have heard us say some of this by now because I'm way behind in chat. I got to get moving here. I keep saying I got to get moving, but we get into good conversations. Arkansas State head coach. He was offensive coordinator at Texas. So he has some ties to the South, more the west side of the South. So I don't know to what extent, that got in Georgia, Florida, all that kind of stuff. Let's see. It is a weird hire. I will agree with you on that. And let's see. Does he have? Okay, we're kind of right here. We got some Bama fans popping there wanting to drop some RTs. Of course. That's classy as always. Let's see. Got to keep Steele and get some of the hard-working, gritty kids and develop them into champions. Absolutely, we do. Jared says at least he's not a good old boy. How do you know he's not? I'm not picking on you. I'm just kind of making there's a lot of people making very big statements that they're assuming a lot about. I don't necessarily agree. This is a good hire. Kyle Clark says the question is, will he be allowed to hire his own guys? I mean, it depends on who you talk to. And will he be able to recruit well in the SEC? We've kind of touched on some of those. We'll get back to some of that. Dusty says a breath of fresh air. Let's get behind the new coach. I will say in terms of this coaching search, it is a I won't call it a fresh breath of fresh air. I will call it a breath of new air because we had been through the list. We either got rejected or wouldn't meet their terms. And here we are at Bryan Harsin, which was a name that was brought up early on as a back of the list person. But I forget who it was on Twitter, but someone has retweeted them since then and said, you are a genius. They tweeted this morning, this is about the time where Auburn comes out of the blue and hires someone that nobody expected. Either that is just great timing and coincidence, or that person is an actual genius. I'm willing to lean towards the other because it's hard to predict that. Do you think players on the fence will be satisfied enough not to transfer? I honestly don't know. It depends on if they, what they were not griping. That's not a good, expressing their frustrations about on Twitter were not being involved in the process, or at least they felt they weren't. And, so that's the question. Were they involved in this hire at all? Did they get a voice? If they did, maybe not. Maybe we'll see some transfers. His record speaks for itself, Auburn Grab says, but need to learn more. Records are only as good as what you've played against. So don't be, like I said, I'm not trying to downplay it, just trying to play both sides of this here. Players are going to be moving on with Steele. With Steele meaning leaving the team. I'm liking this pick, to be honest. Neil White says, I think the prevailing theme that you're going to get from this is as one of positive, because it's one that not everybody was expecting. It's one that everybody was nobody was written them off yet. So I think you're going to get a mostly positive theme. Bo might be better off transferring so he can try and win. Maybe not. This is a quarterback coach after all, and that's what everybody said he needed. That's what everybody said he needed. Sort of like he's not from the South. Time to break away from well, that's just a poor comment, so I'm going to move on from that one. Blake Anderson lost his wife to cancer, not Harsin. I thought that was the case. Like that sounded familiar with that tie. Because then, yeah, that didn't register as well for me because I think I'm glad this is what happens when you're real behind. I'm a Christian, don't care about that at all as far as I'm a Christian. I don't care about that at all as far as a football coach goes. No, I'm going to take this opportunity to challenge you a little bit on that, Dusty. And for those of you that aren't Christians, I know this is kind of like a little boring moment for you. Everything you do as a Christian should affect every part of you. And so if that's not important to you in that, I would respectfully challenge you on that, buddy, as a Christian brother. Why isn't it? So that's just and that's me as an imperfect person, just challenging you to maybe rethink that thinking. That's fair if you don't want to, though. Paint the football field, Jared says. Orange and blue stripes, baby. I'll take it. Why not? Give the guy time to build a program. I think we must do that. I don't care, but I don't want somebody really kind of the same Christian comment. I get it. I hope y'all hear me on that if you are fellow Christians. He's an amazing recruiter. He's an amazing recruiter in the Northwest and somewhat in the west side of the South, it seems like. We'll see what happens here. Plug says, give him 3 to 5 years. How about this? And I know you guys are going to be answering this way off in the future because we're so far behind in chat. What's your prediction on how long he lasts as the head coach at Auburn? We got a 3 to 5 years is what he's willing to give him, but that's not really a prediction. That's maybe saying that's when we start looking somewhere else. Did we even get to Tommy Tuberville? He could have pulled away from the office job. I think there were some people willing to go to Tommy Tuberville. Neil giving us some stats. Harsin is 69 and 19 with 3 Mountain West titles in 7 years at Boise State. So it's 7 years. I guess I thought he got there in 2014, so I guess that would be technically 7. Sam, what's going on, man? We're just having fun in here, reacting to some crazy, crazy news. The last 2 Auburn head coaches won an SEC championship in their first 2 years. Could Bryan make it 3 in a row? Hey, if he does, that means Kyle was wrong, and Kyle is a happy guy to be wrong. Hey, do it, man. That's all I'm saying. If Bryan Harsin can pull that off, it will be the happiest day here in this household. Happiest day ever. It does look a lot better than Chiswick's record. I will give you that. What kind of offense does he use? So we've had some people equate it to a pro style. We've had some people equate it to a multiple. I think really it's kind of whatever you think it's going to be. It doesn't look like it's going to be spread. So it looks like it's going to be more of a run focused with probably RPOs and things like that. All the lingo that everybody wants to use right now. It does seem to lean more like Bama and Georgia, which is kind of scary because Alabama is good at shutting down its own self. Why is that? Because they have a great defense usually, and they practice against it, so they're good at shutting it down. So it's a little nerve-wracking. Let's see here. Why didn't we go after Kentucky Coach Stoops? I don't know that Coach Stoops really warranted much attention in terms of being the Auburn potential. I mean, I guess you could make the argument, did Bryan Harsin? You probably could make a fairly good argument about that, Atlantis. Yeah, I don't know. He never really crossed my mind. He probably came across it once and then just kept going. It was probably in the same wave as Bryan Harsin. So I'd probably be saying some similar things to Mark Stoops, except that he probably doesn't have as good of a recruiting record because he's having to recruit against the SEC. I'll be positive here. Could Auburn have hired someone worse? Absolutely they could have. We thankfully didn't hire a couple in the list. Okay, we got a lot of people clarifying. That's why we're so far behind. I hate Chad Morris too. You're acting. Long Money says you're acting like Gus Malzahn is Nick Saban. I never said that. Never once said that. Firing Gus this is a bad move. I'm guessing you're saying firing Gus was a bad move. I think I'm still going to stand by that statement. And again, that is not a reflection on Bryan Harsin. I do think Kevin Steele is gone. So yeah, let me. How about this? Let me jump way far ahead in some of the comments here, because I do want to make sure that because I know that's probably going to miss a bunch of some of y'all's comments, but keep them coming, and we'll talk about this a little bit more here. But I do know that I'm pretty far behind in some of the things that y'all are saying and stuff like that. So I have moved forward, and I will do my best to stay on top of it right here. But y'all asking great questions and giving great comments. Let's take a quick breather here. Not a breather, but just a second. If you haven't, please do like the stream. It does help us out. We are almost at 500 live streaming, which is humongous. If you haven't subscribed, please do consider doing that as well, but also hitting the notification bell so that you don't miss a live stream, since we do these at a random time. You say Harsin could develop Bo, but wasn't Gus supposed to be a cute quarterback guy? I don't think Gus ever claimed to be a quarterback guy. I think that's something that people attributed to him. And it's your opinion on whether he didn't or not. Will Rodney Garner stay at Auburn? I don't know, but I get the feeling that this may be the straw that breaks the camel's back, so to speak. And I think maybe Rodney kind of uses this time to retire. Just feeling this situation out, because I have no inclination to think, based on what Kevin Steele has gone through, why would you stay after the way people have treated him and spoken about him the last couple of days? Why would you stay? I mean, unless you just want the money, which is a good one. A96 Productions. What's going on, guys? Y'all do some good work. If it's the people I think that you are. But he says, War Eagle, great hire. Why is no one saying this? No other confirmation. Let's see. They had to sell the trees, Tumors Corner. When is the press conference? I don't know. Let's see. You fired an 8-win coach for a 9-win coach. Yay. Yeah, look, you're looking at someone who says this was a bad move. So making fun of people celebrating it is not going to really make any dents over here on my end, because this has nothing to do with a reflection on Bryan Harsin, just that I don't think that firing Gus was a good choice. Rob Hawkins, are you from Boise? Or says, very sad in Boise. Let's hire that State Farm dude. He seems to get things done. Atlantis wants to know, will he have complete autonomy of the football program? Depends on who you ask. If you buy into the whole boosters ruin the search thing, which maybe there's some, stuff to back that up, then probably you would think a guy maybe not as experienced in terms of major college football, like Power 5. Maybe not. We shall see. Let's see. Steve, I think this is maybe an interesting comment. Steve says, nobody expected a hire better than Gus. This is just a transitional hire, and the big money hire will be about 2025. Why are you people acting surprised? So here's the thing on this. As I've said, I expect Auburn to suffer not just for this decade, but the next 2 decades because of the decision to fire Gus. I don't hope that comes true. I hope I'm wrong, actually. It's just me looking past the sale, so to speak. So I do agree with you that is a high potential for this scenario that you're laying out to happen. However, I'm a big fan of stability in the program. So now that Bryan Harsin, unless he gives me a concrete, legitimate reason not to, not to support him, in the case of Sonny Galloway and Auburn baseball, right? If y'all know what I'm talking about, if you're Auburn baseball fans. By the way, we just hit 500 on the live stream. Thank y'all so much. This is huge. Huge. But yeah, it could be a transitional hire. It could be. And that's a little disturbing. He's got the toughness and will attract quality quarterback. We will see. I think, obviously, I think a lot of y'all are thinking past Bo right now. I think that's why you just need to let this play out, see what happens with Bo, and move forward with that. Again, Alabama fans coming in here, it's always nice to see the class acts coming in, knocking your opponent while they're down, and kind of shows what kind of people you are. So, hats off to you. I hope Boise State plays Auburn to prove that Boise State is the best. I don't think that would happen regardless, especially when we got your head coach. And if you're a Boise State fan, I don't know. Now that we've got your coach and your players, or your plays and stuff like that you would and know your players. Atlantis, thank you so much for subscribing. Talking 90 miles an hour a minute tonight. I really appreciate that. And if you haven't subscribed, I encourage you to do so as well and hit the notification bell. Tennessee has been in a 15-year transition. That's what scares me. That is 100% what scares me. WLS Tron says, might be looking for a new head coach about the same time Saban retires. Won't be good. It could be. We're making a lot of speculation. I'm making a lot of speculations about this, right? This could be a brilliant move. I don't know. I wouldn't make too many bold statements. I've already stepped out and said, I've made an assessment of the program, not of Bryan Harsin, and said, I think the program is going to suffer for the next 2 decades, much like the Tennessee 15-year transition. But yeah. It's a better hire than Chizik and a much better record. Other than Ole Miss, this is the biggest name school we have taken a head coach from. So I will say this much about that. I think on paper you could say that. However, Chizik was in a Power 5 conference competing, not 2 lower 5 or however many there are conference competing. So I don't think it's necessarily a fair comparison to say on paper the initial hire of Chizik versus Bryan Harsin is better. One is better than the other. I think obviously the record is in Harsin's favor. What he had to compete against is in Chizik's favor. And Iowa State was not good before he got there. So you kind of know what he had to work with. But yeah, maybe he does. It will result in being a better hire. I think it's too early for that though. D Almighty says 2022 news. Auburn football goes 5-6, but the potato crop in the end zone is growing great. Wow. Yeah, and so that's the thing that frustrates me is, I see us following a pattern that Tennessee has, and they haven't beaten them since 2006. So that is frustrating, and, it is what it is at this point. Man, lots of Ole Miss fan here. I like the hire. Cough. I know why you like the hire, because you were afraid we were going to go get Lane Kiffin. Look, I've known from the beginning that Kiffin, Freeze, Bryles were never in the mix for this thing at all. And that's proven true. And it got to a point this afternoon where I think it became a potential reality. That's how bad it got. It really got bad. No transitional hires ever popular. Welcome to Auburn. Let's see here. I'm getting behind again. I don't know if Roger's being sincere or not. He says, Bama fan here, you might have hired a good coach. I think we hired look, here's the thing, is we've hired a good coach on paper. Is he a good coach for Auburn at this current time, at this current place of the program and the environment of the SEC and college football as a whole? So you can make the statement it's a good hire and that statement be true in one sense, but not in another. We will see. And I know I'm kind of like taking steam out of everybody's sails, so to speak, by continuing to play devil's advocate, but it's just the way that I've learned to process things, and it's frankly helped me mature a little bit. This feels like the last pick of the playground, WLS Tron says. Yeah, I mean, I can see how you feel that way. I would understand that, but try not to think of it that way. Let's see what happens. I keep saying that. Sark's going to stay at Bama and get a chance to replace Saban. Probably. I think Dabo Swinney will have something to say to that. Although if I'm Dabo Swinney, I don't leave Clemson. I never leave Clemson at this point. Why would you want to go be the guy who replaced the guy who replaced Bear Bryant? You could have similar success, but you will always be third. Always. Do you want that? I don't. Or you can go to Clemson. Who's your biggest competition? Tommy Bowden? I'm staying at Clemson. Even if I am an Alabama grad. and I'm not, thankfully. Oh, well, I could be because it's pretty easy to go there. Let's see. Besides Florida, who is the best up-and-coming program in the SEC? We'll find out. I think Florida. I wouldn't consider Florida up-and-coming. I would consider them rebounding. Up-and-coming. I think Ole Miss has a case for that. Maybe. Ole Miss probably has a case for that. I think Lane Kiffin will wind up doing some good things for them, maybe. Maybe Arkansas, Robert says. I get the hype by what Sam Pittman has done in year one. Remember, a very abysmal Arkansas team. I just would not see that lasting much longer. Let's see. DS says letting Gus go will set us back any more than keeping him. Might be setback at first, but if anyone is happy losing 4 games a year, then we have a culture problem. DS, that's I disagree with that statement on a lot of levels, but we don't have time to get into that here, so I'd encourage you to come back and maybe we can talk about that. Maybe we'll do a stream once the news cycle slows down, because now we've got to wait for, who's staying, who's leaving, what coaches are coming in, what's the philosophy going to be? Are they in the bowl game? Then there's the bowl game. I mean, there's going to be so much to talk about Auburn football for the next couple of days. Here's the funny thing. Auburn basketball picked the perfect year to have a year where they can't go play in the postseason, because now all the attention can be on all of this craziness with football. Does Tank stay, Jay says. Ooh. Well, in a pro-style offense where you kind of have to really concentrate on having a really solid run game, I think so. I hope so. Let's see. Do you think he'll just be another puppet? Trace, by the way, I don't know if I've seen you before, if I've missed you before, War Eagle. Do you think he'll just be another puppet for the boosters? I don't know how to say this. We've got to get off the whole boosters puppet thing. Like I at some point, we've done as much as we can to, we've got to stop with the whole divisive, thing, because whether you like them or not, they're Auburn family members too, and they're a reason that the program has money. Now, how they utilize that, I don't necessarily agree with if all this is true, but at some point we've got to stop the division and be unified, even with them. And I know that's not something that people want to hear. AU is so used to mediocrity. Well, I don't know if you're an Auburn fan or another fan. Either way, it's regardless. Does Nick start next season? Right now, I think he does. Until Demetrius Davis comes in and proves to me, or if he stays. Well, he's signed now, so it doesn't matter if or transfers or whatever. If Demetrius Davis stays at Auburn and proves that he's better than Bo Nix, then yeah. But I think Bo Nix starts next season. Do I think Kevin Steele stays? Why would you? If Kevin Steele stays at Auburn, he's a better man than I am, because I would never stay at somewhere after the way I was spoken about and treated the way he was. And look, I get it. I get that there's rumors, and sometimes where there's smoke, there's fire, that he was part of this whole good old boy system and all that stuff, and maybe he helped Malzahn get fired. And I'm a Malzahn supporter. But at some point, we've got to be unified. Got to get past all that. This is interesting. Stop backpedaling and talk about the truth, or you just have no idea what's going on. Okay, I'm sure. That's one way to go about it. I'm excited to see someone actually utilize all the weapons we have. Tight ends. That's like been the thing that sticks in the craw of a lot of Auburn fans lately, is the tight ends thing. And we'll see if they get utilized or not. Because if he has a multiple offense, maybe he doesn't. All right, Joshua, thank you so much for subscribing, my friend. All right, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up my time here. Thank y'all so much for being here for the breaking news stream. We'll be back again in the coming days, hopefully, with some brand new information. So, War Eagle. YouTube folks, a lot of y'all are exiting right now. As most of you know that have been here, I usually stay a little bit longer, and I'm always interested to see how many people leave fast. And since we had such a big number here, I'm expecting a few hundred of you to suddenly leave as well. I usually stay on these streams a few minutes longer for you guys, because y'all are obviously the bulk of who's here, and I want to make sure I give you guys opportunities to be heard and to to be here, because it really means a lot to me that all of you would be here, whether we agree or not, in our commentary on situations of Auburn. Even you rogue fans from Bama and whatever that are showing up here. But so I usually stay a little bit longer and share a couple things with you. So let me do that and first, and then maybe we'll take a few more comments and questions and move forward. If you have not, mainly here, please subscribe and hit the notification bell, because we do these live streams on random basis, and that way you won't miss a live stream, and that way you'll obviously get notified and all that kind of stuff. So big stuff here. Other thing for you to do, we are a podcast network for the Auburn family. We do football podcast, equestrian podcast, track and field, basketball. We let Auburn fans come on and tell their Auburn stories. We have a website with blogs. We got all kinds of stuff, but primarily we are a podcast network. So if you haven't searched us on Apple Podcasts, please do. Come check us out. It is a voice for the Auburn fans by the Auburn fans. If you're an Auburn family member that wants to have a voice, come talk to us. We might give you a show. So please come check us out. If it's not on your podcast app of choice, please let me know. I will do my best to get it on there for you and to make it available to you. And if you are looking for ways, if you have been a long time subscriber or follower of us or just new, all of this is for you is free. But we do want to offer opportunities for those of you that want to help support what we do here content-wise and make it available for you. We have a Patreon campaign called the E2C Network. Ooh, this is a bad word now. Booster Club over at patreon.com/E2C Network. So that's E2C Network. Patreon.com/E2C Network. And you can sign up for as little as $1 a month. Get yourself some perks. You can be featured on a podcast too, or someone of your choice to tell your Auburn story. Please come check that out if you haven't done so, because it does help us pay the bills, so to speak, to do all this stuff. So that is my plug. I'm done. You on Spotify? Yes, we are on Spotify. If you can't find it, let me know. We'll help you. Okay, let's see. It came out of the blue because Alan Green nixed the search committee and took things in his own hands and get it done, and that's why rumors didn't come out. So I think that's a great thing if true, Steve. If that was true, I applaud Alan Green, because what he was brought in to do was to inject new blood into the administration, into the system, the program, and not just football program, but as a whole. And so that was what he was supposed to do. So if what I'm not going to say all this is worth it, but if we get an Alan Green that has realized what he has to do to make this program be successful as an athletic director, it was a good thing. It was a good thing to come out of a potentially what will be a very bad situation. I will be shocked as well, Steve, if Steele remains. Mullen has never been able to win big games. That's the understatement of the year. He's never been able to stay out of trouble, too. People forget that the Cam Newton scandal started with Mullen. They forget that. Bryan Harsin has potential. Does he have the talent there at Auburn to compete immediately in the brutal SC West? Immediately, I think he has the talent to compete. To win? I don't know. The talent, I think, is there, but can he utilize the talent the way it needs to be? And does any of the talent leave? Transfers, all that kind of stuff. Sorry, I knocked the mic. I know that probably made a terrible noise. Oh, Brad, bringing it down a little bit, but needs to be said. Kevin Green, Auburn great, NFL legend, passed away yesterday. It was just another, on a terrible day, just another thing, and just hit us hard, man. So thank you for bringing that up. We should have brought that up earlier. Got to be orange grass, blue grass. It's already taken. Hey, what about tiger stripes, man? Why not? Let's gimmick this thing up. If we're throwing out the playbook, doing this all new as Auburn football family, let's do it, man. Orange and blue stripe the crap out of that end zone or that field. Let's do it. A lot better hire than it was looking like in the past 48 hours. Probably, yeah. Who would be good candidates for defensive coordinator? My first is Kevin Steele, but I don't think he'll stay. After that, I'd have to really do some research, to be honest with you, because all the big names probably don't want to be another defensive coordinator somewhere else. Thinking of Preventables, thinking of, was going to say, I almost said Pelini, but look how that worked out for him. Let's see. It was hid by Florida and the NCAA until after signing day was over. I missed what you were saying. Most of the penalties have already been paid. I missed most of that, my friend. I'm sorry. Chris Peterson hasn't really vaulted to be an elite. Why does Auburn think Harsin will? Because he's not Chris Peterson. I don't understand how that correlates. Mullen has a weird looking head, but he has a uncanny resemblance to Cousin Eddie. I don't cuss, and I know that's probably going to think some of y'all think I'm a prude or something like that. But, the whole thing, the blank's full, he says in Christmas Vacation. So how old is he? Best to get a young guy in the program. From looking at him, he looks pretty young. I don't know his exact age. I'd say he's probably upper 40s, 44. Somebody just said. Pop Winter. There you go. So really young. How about the offensive coordinator? Somebody's thrown out Kellen Moore. That'd be kind of weird to see that, right? I personally would like to see him retain somebody from the staff, whether that be, I don't know. I don't think Cadillac's ready, but I'd love that. Just being a homer. I do think if we cannot keep Kevin Steele, we've got to keep Travis Williams as a linebacker coach or as a defensive coordinator. That guy deserves a look at a next step. He's unconventional. He's a little bit off the wall, but he connects with the players, and they care about him. Kellen Moore might be Boise State's new head coach. That's a great point, so probably not even an option. I think that's an obvious choice for them, which would be really weird to watch. Mike Bobo from South Carolina. I've never understood the hype around Mike Bobo. I've never really understood it, and I don't know that I want to understand it. I reviewed the Boise State current staff. OC has a lot of experience. D coordinator does not. So it probably makes sense if Harsin's an offensive minded guy. You bring some of your staff with you, which means we lose guys like Cody Burns, which is going to break my heart. Huge Burns fan. Going to kill me. My favorite Auburn player, Cadillac, who's behind me on the wall right here. I'm kind of got my thumb on him right now. We're going to lose him probably. But if we can keep Kevin Steele or Travis Williams, it'd be awesome. It's nice to have Boise State's fans here. So, Rob, you get to see some of the Alabama people coming in here and see how awful they are. Alabama fans are just worse. Bobo is boring. That's kind of my impression, honestly, Michael Scott Nicky. But is this Michael Scott Nicky that wrote the book? Sorry to call you out like that, but if it is, wrote the championship book for Auburn. If it is, if I've got you mixed up with someone else, I'm sorry. But he brings up an even better point. The biggest mistake that Gus Malzahn made, and I have said this from the very beginning, as soon as after the first year with this guy, was hiring Michael. That's awesome. Thanks for being here, buddy. I might message you privately another time about something, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. Just something you might be interested in. But lost my train of thought on that one. What were we talking about? O-line. That's what you brought up. It's right here in front of me too. The worst mistake he ever made was bringing in Herb Hand. Herb Hand was a great offensive line recruiter, terrible coach, in my opinion. And I think the look of that back, and that set us back for the next 4 years, resulting in what we're seeing now. So, I'm not going to sit here and say that even though I'm a Gus Malzahn supporter and I think it was a poor decision to fire him, as not a reflection on Bryan Harsin yet, just the decision to fire him and for the state of the program. I do think that is what ultimately killed Gus Malzahn in his time here. So, yes, I agree. That is priority number one. You will not succeed in football, much less the SEC, much less the SEC West, much less against Alabama, if you do not have an offensive line. Offense is not pro style. Boise is a shotgun on every play based on reviewing Boise State's games on YouTube. See, this is what I'm talking. That's why people have described it as multiple. We'll see. So, Rob, if you're being true about that, I agree. He was a great coach and a great guy that Auburn should have kept for a long time. New head coaches typically clean house. I would be shocked if more than one or two coaches remained. And that's why I kind of say, like that offense is probably going to be cleaned out. I think if Bryan wants to win points, he keeps Travis Williams on his staff. That's how you win points really, 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 really fast here. So, all right, guys, I think I'm going to have to wrap it up here tonight. This has been so much fun. If you haven't, subscribe, all that good stuff. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this tonight. It does help share it to the people that weren't able to watch it live tonight. My schedule's a little bit crazy. Obviously, I'm sure all of y'all's are. I don't know that I'll be able to go live tomorrow. Potential travel and all that kind of stuff. But if I can, I will. There's new information and all that kind of stuff. Go check out the podcast, E2C Network on Apple Podcast. There we're gonna hopefully be dropping an episode tonight about this hire with our two Auburn football podcast guys, talking about all this stuff. Remember, we're for the Auburn family and by the Auburn family, so this is a place for anyone to have their voice heard within the Auburn family. So you will hear different perspectives, different thought processes, and I'm not going to sit here and say that the analysis is the best in the country, but what you will get is passion for Auburn, for the game, and we are just a group of individuals, guys and gals. We've had more ladies in the past, but we only have one currently that's a podcaster with us that do such a great job. So anyway, thank y'all for being here. Got a new head coach. Thank goodness this is over. Came out of the blue, though. War Eagle.